Hello, my dear Franken friends, and welcome to Spookyou, your one-stop shop for all things ghastly and ghoulish. I'm your host, Barnabas Vixen. How horrible of you to join us. Curl up, invite your friends, and by all means, make sure those lights are out. That way it's harder to tell what may or may not be lurking around you. There's nothing like a good mystery, am I right? Tonight will feature a singular tale of devilish design curated by those wicked weavers of woe. And without further ado, allow me to pass the reins on over to our vivacious voiceover virtuoso Trey Falco for tonight's sinister story. Please keep all limbs and side covers at all times. We wouldn't want anything to go missing now, would we?
I've been a security guard in my company for over 2 years now, but the work my company does is not your typical run-of-the-mill. To put it simply, my company accepts jobs when no other security company will, and that includes high-risk assignments which often result in deaths of the staff members or abandoning their posts. Here, let me take it from the top. When I started working here, they had a very long one-on-one with me to explain all the potential dangers I would be facing. And they also made me sign an NDA and a bunch of other papers which stated that if something were to happen to me, the company would not be held responsible. They explained that the job is risky but also paid well, and I had been jobless for a while and jumped at the opportunity regardless of the risks. Unlike most other companies though, they made me read through the entire NDA aloud and made sure I was aware of all the rules. Some of the things I read there made me think initially that this was all a joke, but then I saw that my superior was dead serious. My job would basically be to provide support to the guards at other posts via comms and patrol the perimeter I was stationed at. Now, our HQ was located in an office building compound which had multiple companies renting the adjacent buildings. I would mostly work nights with the occasional mornings, and the rules were as follows. I was to do a full sweep of the compound in all offices save for Building 4, the call center office. I was not to approach Building 4 under any circumstances, no matter what I heard from the outside. Even if I saw someone inside from the windows, I was not to engage. And when I asked for more details, they refused to answer me, stating that I should simply obey their orders if I value my life. Now, people have a normal 9-to-5 job in that building, and nothing seems to be wrong during the day. And when I do ask the employees about it during my morning shifts though, they all seem to either not know anything, or they abruptly find an excuse to end the conversation. For Building 6, the designer company, the rules were even stranger. Here's what the chief told me. Now in Building 6, you may sometimes run into someone, a woman to be precise. She's going to try to start a conversation with you, and it's imperative that you ignore her presence at all costs. She'll try to talk to you, taunt you, but she will never get in your way. An extremely important rule to remember, and I cannot stress this enough, is that if you see her in the building, don't run or exit the building before finishing your sweep. Trust me, she'll know. Now do the sweep as you normally would, check every room, and then quietly exit, ignoring her all the way. She's going to become increasingly agitated and violent and might even try to startle you, tell you that there is someone behind you in a very convincing manner, but just ignore her. If you don't, well, you don't really want to know what happened to the last guard. I've since encountered the woman once, and it was a grueling and agonizing experience, and I'd rather not talk about it. Another rule I had to remember was not opening the gate between the hours of 2200 and 0700. The chief said that under no circumstances am I to open the gate, even if the guard comes 5 minutes earlier to relieve me of duty. The gate was to remain closed. And that brings me to the experience I had once. It was about 6 months after I started working and the sun was almost already up. I heard knocking on the gate, and when I went out, I saw through the gate the silhouette of my coworker. "Hey, mind opening the gate?" he asked. As I approached and put my keys into the keyhole, my phone started ringing. And I answered it without even looking at the caller, but when I heard that voice, my blood froze.
Sorry for the interruption, dear listener, but I just had to remind you. If you're enjoying this series, then make sure you head on over to Amazon and pre-order the book from this talented author, Tales of a Security Guard, set to release on January 30th. Seriously, take the time to pause this video and go give it a look-see. Without these authors, our vivacious voiceover virtuoso would be picking pennies out of the couch to feed his family instead of narrating these amazing stories. At least now he has a hobby. I mean, would you take that away from him? I didn't think so. Not only does it include the 12-part series that you're watching right now, but it also includes the Night Guard series that we've previously narrated on this channel, and more terrifying tales to fuel your insomnia-induced night readings. And while you're at it, make sure you head on over to their Facebook page, Scary Stories with BB, to keep up to date with everything that they're doing. And I'd also like to mention that this author is not our sponsor, nor have we been paid in any way to bring you this message. No. We here at Spookyou just want to remind you, our listeners, that the authors behind these wonderful stories need to eat too. And not only that, but they do deserve to be compensated for the work that they do. That about wraps it up for this break, so back to your story.
It was my coworker. Hey, I'm gonna be 30 minutes late today. Sorry, man. I hung up and just then realized that it was 6:50 a.m. I stared at the silhouette on the other side of the gate, who suddenly started banging on the door, demanding to be let in, stating he had lost his cell phone and he was the real coworker. I retreated to the guardhouse and waited for what seemed like forever until the banging stopped. But in reality, it only lasted until 7 a.m. And those were all the rules I had to follow on my own post, and most of the time it's uneventful. However, I have heard stories from other coworkers. Since I'm in contact with guards at other posts, one of them told me this story. He worked as a guard in a residential building, and one night an old man who lived there called him to come to his apartment. He didn't explain what was wrong, just told him to go there, and so he did. When he reached the apartment, the wife of the old man was crying, stating that her husband was dead. The guard tried convincing her that the man was very much alive and had in fact brought him there, but when he turned around, the old man was gone. It was then that he saw the old man's dead body in his chair near his sobbing wife. He quit the same night. Another creepy thing that happened was on a farmstead which our company has guards posted on. A guy by the name of Jeff who worked there told me about his own experience, which made him run away from his post in the middle of the night. So apparently the farm was empty at the time since it needed some more stuff built first, but his duty was to basically patrol circles around the farm and make sure there were no squatters or vandals. So one night, as he's walking around, he hears someone calling his name in a playful tone, and he dismisses it as his imagination at first, but when it recurs, he asks who's there and demands they show up with their hands in the air. Now, I haven't seen this, so I can't guarantee anything, but Jeff swears it's true. He says all of a sudden, out of the crops, a man just stands up. The top of the crops reached to his waist, which was technically impossible because the crops themselves were taller than Jeff, and he's a pretty tall guy. But the man grins at Jeff and continues calling his name playfully as if he's still hiding from him. Needless to say, Jeff didn't stick around to see what the fuck that guy wanted. And when he reported it to HQ, they said that there were sightings of that man in the past, always calling the names of the guards, but never really doing anything harmful. And the final thing I'll share with you here is my experience when I was stationed at a hospital for 1 month. It was like a private clinic of some sorts, and my job was to basically monitor the camera feed. Camera 3 was off though, and when I asked why, they told me to keep it that way and to never turn it on. They also said that from time to time I may see a person on the feed which covered the outside of the security office, and that he would just be standing there, facing the door. I was to remain in my office when that happened and not glance at the door. He would usually disappear after about 30 minutes or so, and patrolling was strictly forbidden between the hours of 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. Money is one of the reasons why I haven't quit so far, and the dangers aren't that bad once you get used to them and you know what you're doing. And plus, getting stationed at different posts does keep the job adventurous and dynamic. If any of you lack any special talents or qualifications like me, well, then this job is perfect for you.
Welcome back, my darling deviants. Well, tell me, did you enjoy that twisted tale? Of course you did. I knew you had that air about you, that hunger for the horrific and the macabre. So, did we spook you? If not, then file a complaint with our complaint department detailing all accounts of non-spookiness you found in this video, and we'll get back to you in 2 to 3 millennia. Give or take a business eon or two. However, if you've enjoyed what you've just heard this evening, then make sure you leave a like on this video and annihilate that subscribe button. Such a small act of obedience is exactly what we need to put the food on the table around here. There's only so many days we can have refried kidney and toe jam hash before I'm absolutely sick of it. Spoiler alert, that ship sailed long ago. Now, I must bid you adieu. I've many things to take care of, and this outro is eating into my day off. Run along now. Have no fear, we'll be here every Tuesday and Thursday to bring you another terrible tale. Go forth, my ghastly gang, and stay spooky.